Live how you wanna, spin what you wanna, be who you wanna be. A young stunner till I die.
It is your favorite child, Galena, on the screen, and today I am bright, honey. Let me adjust this lighting a little bit, yeah. Turn that down a little bit. I'm coming at y'all with a random video, and we got some wine, honey. Got some wiggity wine, girl. I have been watching this show called Sex Life on Netflix, and the whole time I'm just stressed. I'm stressed out for the main character, because I'm just like, honey, like, you just keep walking straight into chaos, and I don't know how to feel about the way it ended. First of all, let me give a disclaimer before you even finish watching this video. If you have not watched Sex Life, do not complete this video. Go watch it and then come back to this video. I binged it in like maybe 3 days because I am a binger. I do like to watch it in its entirety if it's that good. And it was a great show. Okay, let me give you a little backstory, honey. Because, you can't, just jump straight into it without a little context. So, homegirl, she was just like, she's married, number one. She just had started this new life. She has kids and, with her husband. And randomly, she just, starts fantasizing about her ex. And... Girl, this video is going to be all over the place. It's not going to be in order. I'm just going to be sporadically as it comes to my brain, honey, because that's the way my ADHD brain works, honey. It just pops from place to place. Keep up with me if you can. Bear with me if you can, honey. But anyway, she's married. She got this new life. And her husband just, it starts off with them in the bed and, her going through the motions, like as people do in life in general, right? We go through the motions sometimes and we feel like, who is this person that I'm looking at in the mirror? Like, I don't know who she is. And most of that comes from not taking care of yourself, number one, and not putting your needs as a priority and just kind of like pouring yourself into just being a straight up wife and a mother instead of being an individual. And I feel like the main character, her name's Billy, which is actually a really cute name for a girl. Her name's Billy. I feel like when you don't take care of yourself and you mainly focus on those two roles and you don't focus on who you were before you got married, things like this can happen. And I think everyone, well, I can't speak for everyone, but I feel like majority of wives, they can kind of relate to that a little bit, not in the sense of like wanting to, act on cheating on your spouse or whatever. But anyway, back to the backstory. So she's just basically going through the motions and like, she trying to get broke off. Sis is trying to catch her quick one, all right? She trying to catch her nut, and her husband he not going for it, okay? He not going for it, and not necessarily that he is against it, but he's just so distracted. Like, he's just trying to do everything but please her. It just seems like he just wants to watch the game. He's tired. And he's just not interested in it. And I think men also get to that phase when you've been married for a little while and you just think that, oh, I got her, so, I don't need to put in as much effort. And I think that's where he was at with it. So, when the current thing isn't working out, of course, it's so cliche to go back to the most recent thing that you got that, was fantastic, or, instead of communicating with your spouse. Just seems more ideal, right? And I can't judge because we've all been there, you know what I'm saying, trying to fix it on our own versus trying to basically avoid confrontation, pretty much, or try to call out the situation as we see it because we're unhappy with a certain portion of our relationship. So she goes on this spiral of fantasizing about her ex-boyfriend and how amazing the sex was. And don't get me wrong, now, he is a character, okay? I think we all know a guy like him. Ladies, we all have, what is his name? We all have had a Brad. If it hasn't been like within the personality traits, or, you know, that guy that's kind of like, you know, he's a fuck boy, he's a bad boy, and he doesn't really bring anything to your life except excitement or good sex, right? And I don't know, man. He was just overall, like, his demeanor, his aura is just kind of like a bad boy. He's super charming. He knows all the right things to say. And, you know, those guys are kind of dangerous. You know what I'm saying? They come with a lot of baggage. They don't really know who they are. So they kind of like overcompensate with all of this personality and, you know, this edge, and just like seeming very mysterious. But deep down, you know, they're just like a really, a little child crying out because their parents didn't do a very good job of showing them enough attention. So they, you know, they take it out on the people who around them who care about them. And I feel like with her character, like, she didn't really do enough self evaluation for me, especially being in the field that she was in. She was like a psychology major, or like a professor of some sort, to teach theories on all types of psychology. And being a psychologist, you know, like, you, or someone who studies it, you know that you might need to talk to a psychologist if you are one, right? I think that's like pretty standard. Like, most therapists or most psychologists, they have someone that they talk to as well. And throughout this, like, she talked to a guy one time, and that was like on one occasion. But I would just assume that she would have had a regular a regular therapist, you know, to talk to about her issues, or the things that the thoughts that she's having, and to kind of like decipher and work through them, and have tools and to manage her life so she doesn't completely blow it up, which is ultimately what she does in the end. So she's fantasizing about this guy, this ex, and he's like a train wreck. But he's just exciting. He got all this personality. His life is so big, and they're in New York, and it's just like so, it's just like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like one of those, he's like a heartthrob type of guy. So her husband decides to go through her journal. Why? Fellas, that's never a good idea. You don't ever invade someone's space, because this is just like a place where they just completely be open and honest and not have to filter anybody's feelings. That's the number one way to hurt your own feelings, is to read your significant other's diary. Why would you do that? So he reads it. They don't talk about it. She tries to bring it up, but he kind of like brushes it off, because, you know, in the back of his head, he has this master plan of, oh, you know, I'm going to recreate every moment that is in her diary and try to, I guess, take over it to see if he can do it as well. And that, he just kind of made my head hurt with this, because it's like, you know, you're not like staying true to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're not staying true to you're not this guy. You're the complete opposite of him. And that's probably, you know, the main reason why she married you in the first place. And he's just like, she vividly detailed every encounter that they ever had, and like, you know, how it was the best sex of her life, and it was just so exciting and so thrilling, and you know, he just tries to recreate like to a T. He tries, but he fails because it's not him. He's not staying authentic to himself. And I feel like that's the number one reason why his little plan failed. Because number one, they should have talked about what he read in that diary, because it was some stuff in there, okay? And it wasn't like she was like acting on it, you know what I mean? Not to say that shifts the blame to him at all. This all started with her. So he goes and plans out all of this stuff for them to do, and along the way they still have fun, but it's just like you're trying too hard, bro. Like this is not who you are. So, I just didn't understand why he couldn't make their own memories exciting and try different things in the bedroom, because there's many other ways to spice it up versus what the other guy was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because she did say that, he was able to lay it down a couple of times. So I really don't know why he just couldn't take note of the things that she liked and what she disliked. And because one thing about those type of bad boys, right? They know how to put it down, and it's rare that they come with a job and all the fixings like he did, because he was pretty loaded and he knew how to lay it down. He just had like a lot of daddy issues. But you can't fake that swag that he had. You know what I'm saying? Everybody does not have that naturally. You know what I'm saying? And when you choose your partner, right? Most people don't choose those guys to settle down with, because it comes with the baggage, right? So it's other ways to work around that. And I just hope that in the next season that they kind of, well, actually the way that the season ended, I really don't think they're gonna work out anything. I don't know where it's actually the direction of the show, but I really wish that they could have dove into like, because it seems like she likes that kinky type of stuff. They could have did some sort of bondage or BDSM, or what is it called? I think that's what it's called. Or they could have, experimented and found things that, that they like. You know what I'm saying? That stimulates their mind, because it's a mental thing first. The work up to sex. It's not just about the actual action. I think that he didn't really connect to that part. But she was just, it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. She didn't really know what she wanted, honey. She kept going back and forth between whether or not she wanted to be this suburban housewife, full-time mom. And also, I feel like what aided to her, ultimately making her decision at the end is the fact that, she sacrificed so much in the beginning and kind of lost herself in a way. And those are things that you have to make sure that you want before you go into having kids, and that you and your spouse are on the same page. That's why I don't really recommend when you first get married to just go straight into having kids, because you have to have these ideas, be on the same page before the kids get here, so one person isn't left feeling at a disadvantage, or like they're missing something from their life, because they, as an individual, y'all have an understanding of how this is gonna work. It's just so much to unpack, and I'm not sure if I should make this into a little thing where I just go through each episode and show y'all where things could have just went so much better. I mean, it's a show, it's fiction, but it just romanticizes like women wanting chaos in their life, you know what I mean? And not really knowing how to balance being a wife and being an individual and exploring and just basically living life. Because it was just like they made marriage seem like it's kind of like a prison, like you're entrapped. And I could see how initially you would feel that way, but I just feel like it was another route versus just going back to her ex, and because it's a reason why it didn't work out in the first place. You know what I mean? You don't really just go back to that, because as they're unfolding her and her ex's relationship, you see as they go down the line, like why it didn't work. And he's saying that he changed and all of this and that, which I do feel like he did, because, in the end, despite him selfishly wanting her, because he could have easily been like, bro, she still want me. She's still into me. But no, he gave him the green light to go on about his marriage and do what he needs to do, because she's not, into me. But she just constantly wants to blow her life up. And it's just, it's just so strange to me now that I'm more enlightened, because I can understand maybe a younger DeAndre might relate, or like in the beginning of my marriage might relate. But as I've grown up and realized that certain patterns are unhealthy, through therapy, of course, yeah, it's just left me at a loss for words. It's very frustrating to watch, but it's very interesting. It's a very interesting show, because every other episode I'm like, girl, what you doing, girl? Why are you back there, girl? We know where this is going. We all know before you even get there. It's like one of those one of the girlfriends who just keep going back to her ex after he keep dogging her out. It's just like that, but it was well written, well shot. Like I love the way they set everything up. It was just like a lot going on. And with shows that are not like action packed or whatever, like the drama was just top tier. And not to, compare my life or anything, make it seem like as though I'm any better than she is, or, because it is a fictional character, but it's just so interesting how your mind develops and over time, and how I can see myself in her once upon a time, but now that I'm a different version of myself, I just, see how her choices can get her into some sticky situations, pretty much, and how therapy has helped me a lot, pretty much. But that's all I got. I know this was like all over the place. Maybe we could do more of these, like where I just sit down and talk about shows that I'm into. But that show was just a key, honey. It was a key. I was just like, it makes me glad that I'm in a better place, honey. It makes me glad, because that right there is a hot mess. Now, it makes good for entertainment, but actually living in that anxiety all the time and like constantly dreaming about blowing my complete situation up, because if you constantly want to blow something up all the time, like you want to do things, and you put yourself in positions to put yourself in a position to lose everything that you have, you don't want it to begin with. You don't want that. Maybe you want a different version of it, but that's not what you want. I don't really even think that she wants the ex either. I think that she should probably just take some time to herself, honestly. And then the poor husband, she's taking that man through the freaking ringer. But yeah, that's all I got. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe. And that is all, folks. Ta-ta for now. Bye.
Everything I've been through is everything I am. What the fuck you think this is? Think I looked up. Still down on earth, never stuck up.